Welcome back, everybody. It is Boombap Recovery, and I am your host, Ivory Makes Music, with part 2 of my experience, strength, and hope in my recovery from alcoholism. Today, I'm going to be talking about what happened. We talked about my experience with alcoholism, where it began, where I come from, and how it progressed. And today, I'm going to be talking about what happened in the tail end of my drinking, how bad it got, and what happened when I hit rock bottom, and the immediacy right after the experience that I had where I almost killed myself from drinking a bottle to 2 bottles of the cheapest vodka every single day for weeks at a time. So how did it progress? The last video I talked about how the COVID pandemic really catalyzed things for my disease, and how if it wouldn't have happened the way it did, I probably wouldn't be here right now. I'd probably still either be drinking in God knows what state, dead, or in jail or institutionalized. I'm happy to be alive right now. I'm grateful to be alive. What happened towards the end of my drinking? To what scale did I reach? So let me tell you guys, I started off a daily drinker, and I would wake up with hangovers, you know, but the disease progressed to the point where I was a binge drinker, in that it was round the clock drinking for 5, 6, 7, 8 day stretches. And that happens once you really cross the line, the substance, the alcohol, no longer really working, and you're just chasing that little bit of relief, right? Which, if you know, once you cross that line, it's a terrifying place, because you might get a little bit of relief the first shot, the first 2 shots, you might get a little sense of that comfort that you used to have maybe for hours or a whole day. That euphoria is just no longer there. And once you cross that line, you're just chasing that relief, and you're chasing it in vain. So what would happen is, I knew alcohol was bad for me. I knew that it was taking my spirit, and I knew that it was no longer working. Yet I would justify going to the liquor store with the most nonsense, right? I'd wake up in the morning swearing off, and I'd have the craziest obsession, the craziest voices in my head just telling me, just one to take the edge off, just one to wane off, right? To taper off. One won't hurt you, Ignacio. And we all know it's that irrational justification in your head that leads you to go buy that one drink, and then you're off to the races. And once I consumed alcohol, once it was one drink, I was off to the races. And what would happen is, after the first day, my body would just react, right? And it would just want more and more, looking for that relief that never really came anymore. And by the 3rd day, my body was dependent on it. I couldn't physically stop. And I had to not only drink myself to sleep, but it got so bad that in a matter of 2-3 hours of knocking myself out with alcohol, in a matter of 2-3 hours, my body would wake itself up, because it would start withdrawing. And that's when the real terror would start. Because there's just voices in your head, and it's like these spirits come after you, because they know that you're vulnerable, that your spirit is weak, and it's prey. And that's so scary. If any of you guys know what I'm talking about, it's like these malevolent forces, dark forces, where they know you're not long for this world. If you keep drinking destructively like you are, you're just prey. You're vulnerable. Your spirit is being eaten alive, right? The more and more you drink, the more and more afraid you become of being found out, and the paranoia starts happening. And then you seek alcohol and relief and to shut those voices off even more. And then you really can't stop. You can't drink, but you can't not drink, right? And it's terrifying. And I would wake up 4:30, 5 in the morning, sipping the last little bit that I would leave myself, right? The last shot, savoring it, hoping that it would get me by till 5:55 in the morning when I could go to the liquor store and I'd be there completely flushed, broken, so embarrassed that I'm there again, waiting for them to open at 6 a.m., looking that guy in the face, feeling completely embarrassed and ashamed that I had to go get more. And I would just get 1 pint because I would tell myself, just 1 pint, Ignacio, and then just feel a little better and then you'll stop for good. And then I chug maybe half of that pint for breakfast at 6 in the morning just to get the shakes away. And by 8:39, that pint would be gone and I would be trying to get ready for work, trying to brush my teeth, trying to shower it off, and you stink, man. You think that you're doing a good job hiding it, but you're not. This was right after the pandemic when we were going back to work, so I would wear my mask, hoping that no one else would smell me, sneaking off to the parking lot to get a shot or two, just to make it through the day without breaking apart, making plans to swear off for good. And this would go on for weeks and months, and the cycle would just repeat at night, trying to drink myself to sleep, trying to get some rest when it wasn't really rest. It was just me synthetically knocking myself out and waking up 2 or 3 hours later needing more alcohol, my body going through withdrawals, needing more. And that's how it went until my body could no longer keep up with that, and I went into a panic attack that led me to the hospital. I thought I was having a heart attack. I thought I was dying. And then that's when I went into the hospital, like I went into my last video. And I hit a bottom, man. I hit a spiritual bottom where I was so broken that the spirit of the universe, God, my higher power, whatever it is, entered my life. And I knew from that moment that I was going to be okay. And from that moment on, I was so broken that I was able to be shamed into being honest, right? And sometimes we need that. We need to hit a bottom sufficient enough for us to be honest for the first time. I was honest with my family about the state of my drinking. And my sister took me in the very next day. I moved up to Tehachapi, California, and my sister took me in the very next day. And I joined the 12-step program. And in this channel, we're not going to be talking about the program that is 12-step recovery, because I'm respecting the tradition of attraction rather than promotion. And I pray that if you're out there and you're listening to this, make it to a 12-step program. This channel is going to be dedicated to our experience rather than 12-step recovery, which is a big part of my life, but I want to respect those boundaries, right? I joined a 12-step program, and for the first time in my life, I was able to be honest. I was able to really know that I could no longer do this, and I made a decision to no longer consume alcohol and to get right with my spirit. Because if not, I was not long for this world. So the days following, the weeks following, I had no idea how bad alcohol withdrawals were to come. When I tell you I didn't sleep for 3 months, I would be tired all day, hoping to get some rest at night. And when nighttime would come, I was just beamed up awake and just so frustrated. The anxiety was absolutely crushing. It felt like I was just gonna explode at any moment. And when I left the hospital, they had given me maybe 6, 7 Ativan and sent me on my way. And I savored those Ativans for the first couple days because honestly, I felt like I was going to erupt from the anxiety and the sting of just being so wound up. And we're gonna get into the physiology. We're gonna get into the research, what the science says about alcohol withdrawal. But I'm just telling you what my experience was. The anxiety was absolutely debilitating. The fear, the voices in my head at night, but overcoming it all was that overwhelming sense of just get through this, Ignacio, you're gonna be okay, and you no longer have to drink. And I didn't believe in God. I was a staunch atheist. But in that moment, I knew that there was something out there that pulled me from the gates of death, because I was not long for this world, I tell you. The way I got through those first couple of weeks and months was through scalding hot bath to scalding hot bath. And I tell you, it was every hour that I needed to take a scalding hot bath, because it was the only thing that would take away the sting of the anxiety for a little bit. And I didn't know anything about prayer, but during those baths, when I just had to let go, right? I just had to let go and surrender. I would yearn, right? And those were my formative prayers. Yearn for me to get through the anxiety, for me to get through these early weeks and months of my recovery, so that I can work on my spirit, right? So I can work on the things that were ultimately the cause, the root of me drinking, which was trauma, which was fear of no longer having the security blanket and the solution that is alcohol. Having to own up to the wreckage of my past, having to look people in the eyes and make amends to them and tell them I'm sorry for damages done. And ultimately get right with my Creator. And it was a slow and arduous process. And they say one day at a time. It was one day, 1 hour, 1 minute, 1 second at a time, biting my nails early on in that recovery to not drink. And little by little, as I did some work, right, as I picked up some spiritual tools, right, starting with that honesty, the honesty that I was an alcoholic and that I can't do this, right? I'm powerless over the situation, right? Because I can't drink safely. I'm not normal. I'm not like anybody else. And being honest that I've done some fucked up stuff. I've done some shitty things to people because I was angry at how I was raised. I was angry at this hole that I had in my heart, and I took it out on other people. And I took it out on myself, right? Little by little, I was able to look myself in the eye, because I was no longer able to look at myself in the eye when I was drinking. I hated who I was. I hated who I saw in the mirror. I'd wake up every morning and I'd tell myself, you're not gonna drink today, Ignacio. And then I would drink, and then I'd look at myself in the mirror, pissed off, shamed, and just angry that I did it again. But through this bottom, I was able to start over. And with this energy, this presence that I can't explain to you. I can't explain to you now, but I couldn't explain to you then. It was the presence of a higher power. And whatever that looks like to you, whether it's religious or not, to me early on, it was Mother Nature, God, the great outdoors, going up to the San Gabriel Mountains and hugging trees, man, hugging a freaking tree, grounding myself. The static and the energy that was pent up from 10, 15, 20 years of drinking, I could go touch the ground and let go of that energy and pray and thank Mother Nature for helping me through those years, through those first couple of weeks and months, and being able to breathe, right? I live in a concrete jungle now, as you can see, but I used to live in those foothills in Pasadena, Altadena. Those were my formative prayers early on in my recovery, praying to Mother Nature, praying to the universe that if I put this energy out into the world and hope and pray that I get this thing, right? That I could continue in my sobriety, that the energy would be bounced back to me, and it has tenfold. And I had to be willing to do the footwork, right? I had to be willing to continue being honest with myself, because I had some secrets. I had some things within my soul that I was afraid to come out into the light. And those were the real reasons why I drank. Traumas, secrets, fears. My life not going in the trajectory that I thought it would have. Being afraid to be an adult. And I've grown up. I've literally grown up more in the last 3 years than I have the rest of my adulthood since I turned 18. And I'm able to confront these things that once I thought were impossible. And I'm able to be present for myself. And I live a completely different life today. I am an alcoholic. I'm going to be an alcoholic for the rest of my life. But I have this story to tell. And I want to tell this story to other people that are suffering, because I know what it's like. I know what it's like to have those demons, that darkness come consume you. And that's my strength. That's my strength, that I have been pulled from the gates of hell, and I'm here and I'm alive and I made it through by the grace of God, by the grace of other people in recovery and my family and all the people that support me. So you can do the same. You can recover no matter how bad your situation has gotten. We are here for you. And I want to share more. I'm early on in my recovery, still 3 years, but this is going to be the rest of my life, and I'm still learning and I'm remaining teachable. And I love myself again. And through that, I'm able to share that love, share the hope, share the strength, share the experience with other people so they can recover too. So in this next part, I'm going to be sharing with you guys the hope that I have for the rest of my life, the hope that I have for you guys, that you guys can recover as well, that you guys can one day be on the other side of your disease. And it starts, sometimes it has to start with that rock bottom. It has to, things unfortunately sometimes have to crash and burn, but they don't have to crash and burn over and over again. Only you can make that decision. If things are bad, make it your rock bottom. Make it your rock bottom and start, but it starts with the fight. You know, those first couple days and weeks, I'm biting tooth and nail. But get with people, seek help, and we're here for you. Comment down below and let's start this line of communication, guys. It's Boombap Recovery. Thank you guys for tuning in for episode 2. Love you guys. Peace, love, and light.